Alright, in this video I got someone asking about how to make their chords sound better. It's like their chords are sounding weird or wrong. A lot of times you're going to get string noise or string buzz, kind of this sort of sound, where you don't hear the string ringing out properly. And that could be about three main reasons doing that. One of the things is where you're holding down on the fret. If we let's look at the second fret here. And when I look at my second fret, I'm going to call, it's divided by the fret wires here, the metal bars. So we have the top fret wire and the bottom fret wire of the second fret. What we want to do is get our fingers as close as possible to that bottom fret wire, so closer to your right side of the fret, without being on the metal wire, but just right next to it. That's going to be easier to push down there, and you'll hear it sounds fine there. The middle works too, but if you get in the habit of being towards the right, it's going to be easier to push down and your fingers are closer to the other frets. But if we get too far to your left side of the fret, to this top fret wire, we're going to start hearing that buzz sound no matter how hard you're pushing down. So that's one of the things you want to start out with. I think someone mentioned a C major chord. So I'm going to go ahead and play a C major chord and make sure all my fingers are to my right of the fret. Then try to do that. It's called arpeggiating. We're just going to go one string at a time with the fret, with a chord, to make sure all your strings are working. Because I could be strumming and think it sounds fine, and then if I arpeggiate, I could find a string that's not working I didn't hear over the other strings. So now what I did to make that string not work, my finger's in the right spot, but really I'm just not pushing down hard enough. So we got to push enough pressure, and it's going to vary on different guitars, to get the string to ring out. So that could be the second problem. If you're just not pushing down hard enough, you're going to get that kind of sound in your chord, where it should sound like this. So if that's an issue, what I'll do is I'll teach students this. Get all your fingers in place in the correct spots, and right before you strum, just squeeze down on your fingertips as hard as you can. You might have to do this at first, and your finger strength's going to just increase after doing that, and then it won't be such an issue. Another factor that can make the strings buzz or clicking sounds like that is if I'm not on my fingertips. If I show from this angle, you'll see my fingers are arched, so nothing is touching strings below it. I'm just touching the strings I want to hold down the frets on. If my fingers aren't arched, they're going to start obstructing the strings below it and sounding like that. So that can also be an issue of the sounds you're getting out of the chord. And finally, the last problem is if the first string, the bottom E string, is making that sound. A lot of times this part of the palm of your hand can easily get in the way of that string and block it. So you want to make sure that part's away from the bottom string. Alright? Some other things that might help out, it could be the guitar sometimes. Some guitars are a little bit more picky about where exactly you play on the frets. A lot of acoustic guitars especially, the stock strings that are put on when you get it, or just the normal gauge strings they sell for acoustic guitars, are a bit heavier than electric guitar gauges. So sometimes if you're having a hard time just pushing down hard enough, or the action seems really high, or the strings are far off from the fretboard, try a light gauge string or a ultralight. So that'll make things a little bit easier. I normally prefer, when I get a new acoustic guitar, to put a light gauge on there. It just makes it easier to play. It's not necessary, but it does make things a little bit easier. And that's it for this one.